It's time for NBA The Big Question with your host, Storm Pinball. Hey, thanks for joining me. Absolutely amazing start to the playoffs with two intriguing games last night. Let's get right to it with Asked and Answered. The Hawks beat the Heat 116 to 105. And there were some crazy stats in this game. Atlanta shot only 59% as a team from the foul line, so the game was even worse than the score indicated. Kyle Lowry led Miami with 33 points coming off the bench, but still had the worst plus-minus on the team at minus 12. My prediction for the game was pretty accurate. If anything, I gave Miami too much credit. I said that Butler and Young would cancel each other out, which they pretty much did, and would be up to the rest of the team's personnel to decide this one. And that's pretty much what happened. The Hawks played only 4 guys off the bench, but they all scored in double digits. The starting backcourt of Strus and Gabe Vincent shot a combined 3 for 11, with all of those attempts being threes. They looked like regular season-only players last night. I also wondered what we see from Bam Adebayo and DeJounte Murray last night. On paper, Adebayo was okay, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. But he also needs to take some responsibility for the fact that they got out-rebounded 63 to 39. Clint Capella by himself getting 21 of those rebounds, including 8 offensive rebounds. The question here, is Adebayo hurt, or is he just being weighed down by that big bag of money he just got? In a post-game press conference, Jimmy Butler said that the problems they had were easy to fix. I'm not so sure about that, considering you didn't fix them at all during the game. Does that mean that he thinks Adebayo just needs to try harder and he's questioning his hustle? It would be crazy if Miami lost both playing games, but the winner of Toronto-Chicago isn't going to be a slouch either. So I'll give myself a B on the prediction, and I was right ATS because I said that the Hawks would keep it close. The second game of the night I pretty much had pegged. I said that the Wolves would play tough and could possibly even win the game. Up until the last 6 minutes of the game, that's exactly what they looked like they were going to do. They led by 60 to 49 at the half and blew an 80 to 65 point lead later in the half. Mike Conley, who had a great game, hit a 3 with 6 minutes to go to put them up 95 to 88, but that would be the last field goal that they would score in regulation. The entire team was gassed. They kept playing defense, but could barely move on offense. They couldn't score in transition or on steals because they weren't fast enough to finish off the break. It was sad to watch, but seeing them gut it out and still trying to win was inspirational. If they just had 1 or 2 guys more, like say a Rudy Gobert or a Jaden McDaniels, they would have definitely won. The only reason it went to overtime was because of an absolutely boneheaded play that Anthony Davis made on a 3-pointer with no time left on the clock. He fouls Mike Conley, who goes on to hit all 3 foul shots to force overtime. Davis did a similar thing a few weeks ago against Dallas and actually cost them the game. He fouled Maxi Kleber and then missed a foul shot, and then Kleber hit a buzzer 3. Davis needs to understand that he can defend threes with his length and his intimidating presence without jumping into the shooter's landing zone. It's a clear foul, and the refs will call that consistently. It was starting to look like overtime was simply going to cost the Wolves the cover because they had nothing left, but Edwards realized that LeBron James plus 5 fouls equals 0 defense, and he made a couple of layups. Edwards had a very rough game. I hope he can rest up for the next one because I definitely want to keep watching him in the playoffs. The key shot of the game was made by Dennis Schroeder off a brilliant feed by LeBron, who drew the defense and then kicked it out to a wide-open Dennis, who hit the shot and then proceeded with one of the goofiest celebrations I've ever seen. He's just a weird player in general. At times he looks like a 15-year-old with his physicality, but he's also has had some runs of offensive brilliance throughout his career, some great years with Atlanta. Either way, I love his uniqueness and the fact that he was playing through injury and still performed well, so that gives him a lot of playoff credit in my book. One guy who doesn't seem to get any and doesn't deserve it is D'Angelo Russell. He had another rough playoff game and is starting to look like another regular season-only guy. Questions were asked about him after last year's bad playoff series, and he answered them in the wrong way last night. Stay tuned. We may be seeing a lot more of Schroeder if his Achilles will allow. I give myself an A on the prediction. I am 2-0 against the spread and 1-0 on my strong recommendations. Tonight's games seem much tougher to predict than last night's because there are a lot more variables, a lot more things I'm not sure exactly what to expect. At 7 o'clock, we have the Bulls versus the Raptors on ESPN and ESPN+. And I think the big questions here are, do the Bulls even want to be here? And what are we going to get out of Fred VanVleet? Both teams have some positive momentum coming into the game, but I think the Raptors want it more. The Bulls allegedly were involved in a rare and dangerous double tank game against Dallas, which is the NBA's biggest fear and is why I think there will be some serious consequences for the Mavericks. The Raptors have been a snake-bit team for some time now, but I think their heart has been in the right place. The Bulls also seem to have more talent than their results would indicate. So both these teams are in similar predicaments, both now and for their futures, since both teams are on the verge of getting blown up. So the big question here is, who wants it more? And my prediction is the Raptors. With some rest and home court, I think they can win this one by double digits. I'm not sold on Vucevic as a playoff player, and I don't believe that the Bulls really want to be there. For the second game, we have the only play-in team who has seemingly limped into the postseason. The Thunder are an amazing story, but they may just be happy to be there and are facing a New Orleans team who fought hard down the stretch and have some playoff warriors in Ingram and McCollum. That being said, I'm not willing to fully write off the Thunder. I don't think this will be easy because of the Pelicans' lack of depth. Losing Alvarado is very bad for them. And the Thunder's better overall physicality. I think that the Thunder will get down early, maybe by 7 or more at the half. But in the second half, they may wear down the Pelicans like they did to the Suns a couple of games back. They will keep it close. I think that they will lose, but they will lose by 5 or less. We'll find out if my predictions are right or if I was even asking the right questions as the play-ins continue tonight. Both of my predictions tonight are light guesses, no strong recommendations like the Wolves were for me last night. If it's anything like last night, it'll be great to watch, but I'm guessing these games might be a little less intriguing. What do you think? Who's taking these games down? What other questions do you want to see answered? As always, representing hard work and talent, I am Sean the Storm Grant, thanking you for your time and looking forward to your comments. Enjoy the games.